Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, if you have been here, welcome back, everyone. Tonight is a sort of special night. It's going to be totally different from previous reviews just because I'm not going to really review this. I'm just sort of, I guess, reflecting on just this past other day. My girlfriend and I, we went to watch Gone with the Wind at the movie theater. It was re-released, and just for future reference for people who come here, this is 2024, and we went to see Gone with the Wind, 1939's Gone with the Wind, at the movie theater because it was released to the public again. And boy, was it something that before going, again, this is like reflections on it. I'm not going to talk about the plot and all that because I feel like if you're at my channel or if you're watching this video, you've seen Gone with the Wind. You know what the story is, so I don't need to go into detail of the plot and everything. Although I will mention that, 1939, David O. Selznick produced it, basically made it. It's basically his film. I know Victor Fleming has his name on it, but there were other directors on it like George Cukor, and other directors helped with it. But my reflections on it before going to the movie, the day before, actually probably a week or two before, my girlfriend and I were kind of like mentally preparing because this movie is 4 hours long. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched a movie for 4 hours. Well, the first time I saw Gone with the Wind, pretty sure I broke it up into two or maybe even 3 nights. I've definitely never seen a movie this long at the movie theater, so it was a new experience for me. However, I knew they were going to have an intermission, which is something I think movies need to bring back today. I don't know why Hollywood is so greedy that they can't give us 5 minutes to go to the bathroom or get new concessions. Like, come on. It's okay. We can have 5 minutes of an intermission to go to the bathroom. But I digress. They cut down the intermission, and they didn't have the opening, where they play the music and everything like you would have seen back then. But they cut down the intermission, I'm pretty sure, from probably like 10 minutes to 5 because I had to quickly go to the bathroom. So before going to the movie, we were mentally preparing because this is such a long movie. We were like, we're going to have to get snacks. We're going to have to, we're going to make a picnic of it. We're going to take sandwiches. We're going to get a large popcorn, everything, candy, everything. And we did that. We brought cookies. So we made it into this big event, which was awesome. I'm glad that I hadn't seen this movie in a while because I forgot a lot of it. I knew this is a perfect film, obviously. I don't even need to say it, but I knew this was a great movie. It's got Clark Gable. You all know I love Clark Gable. And so I'm glad that I did not, remember too much about the movie. I'd forgotten that sort of the first half of the movie is the Civil War and the hardships of the Civil War for Scarlett, and how Vivien Leigh and how she is. I forgot also how much of an awful person Scarlett is, honestly. And again, this isn't a review. And I don't have any notes or anything. So if you're bored with this, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to turn on the camera and talk about my evening of seeing this movie on the big screen. Just sort of me on the spot. So the movie started, and right away I was annoyed because first it started with Leonard Maltin, and he gave a little bit of history behind the movie. Kind of nice to see him again. I've always thought he was a little overrated, but started out with him giving a little bit of history, which was nice. I appreciated that. But then it had like one of those warnings of, warning, disclaimer, this movie talks about the South and slavery, and everything in this movie is fake fantasy, doesn't represent how it really was. And I'm just like, why do you need to say that? We are all adults. We realize this is a fictional movie. It's based off a book that came out, I think, in the 1930s, because right now I'm watching the making of Gone with the Wind, and that's what I learned about in that. It's a story, so of course it's, the depictions of slavery in this movie, everything in this movie is fictional. So it's like one of those sensitivity things, like, this is, it's just, why do they have to do that? We're all adults. We understand not everything is how it was. Not all the slaves were happy back then. Of course not. It was awful. But I'm sure there were probably some slaves who did appreciate the families they lived with, and in fact, sometimes they would be freed and they would continue to live with the family. As Hattie McDaniel, her character, Mammy, does in this movie. So right away I was annoyed with that, because when I go to a movie, I just want to be entertained, and I'm sure all of you feel the same way. People who love classics usually hate that stuff. We want to live in the classics. We want to live in the moment. We don't want to remember. We don't want to think about now. We don't want to think about today. So get that out of my face. So I was annoyed with that, but I got over it fast, because the music, the beautiful theme song from Gone with the Wind comes on, and the story began, and I was just blown away by the beautiful, the lighting and the camera angles and the sets. What I took away most from this movie is, I don't know how that movie got made. I think it took maybe 2 or 3 years to make it, because I think they got the rights in 1936, if I'm right. And obviously it came out in 1939, but I don't know how David O. Selznick did it, because it is such an epic, and we will never have another movie quite like it ever again, especially with CGI and AI and just all these, how boring Hollywood is, and not boring, how lazy Hollywood is. So we'll never get another movie like Gone with the Wind. We'll never get actors like it either. Rhett Butler, Clark Gable was born to play Rhett Butler. I know from reading one of my books on him that he did not want to play Rhett Butler for a long time, because I read the book about he and Carol Lombard and their marriage and relationship, and he would always complain to Carol, they want me to play Rhett Butler. And it's interesting, because he was at MGM. He wasn't working for David O. Selznick. Selznick hated the fact that he had to ask his father-in-law at MGM to borrow Clark Gable to play Rhett Butler, but everyone thought, Clark Gable has to play Rhett Butler. So he did, and I have this right here, which I keep. I don't know if you all ever really see it, but there he is. He was born to play Rhett. He was perfect as Rhett Butler. And Scarlett, Vivien Leigh was born to play Scarlett, because she was such a brat. She was a brat to the very end, basically, until finally it snaps that, what's his name? Ashley doesn't love me, which was played by, of course, Leslie Howard, who I haven't reviewed a lot of Leslie Howard's movies, but Leslie Howard actually was one of the actors who got me into classic films. One of the first classics I ever watched was The Petrified Forest with with Betty Davis and Humphrey Bogart, and I just like fell in love with how good Leslie Howard was at acting and just how beautiful he delivers his lines. Uh, and he was very good as well. He's good in everything as Ashley. Um, so the cast, I don't think I can name a single person in the movie who shouldn't have been in there. The cast was just phenomenal. Um, I can't even. There's so many good scenes in the movie that it's hard to pinpoint it. But there were a lot of parts in the movie, shocking parts that I had forgotten about, such as their daughter passing away, and just had forgotten how she had two husbands before Rhett Butler, and how she was always like sort of happy that they passed away tragically, and just how horrible of a wife she was, and just greedy. But I think that Scarlett's character goes much deeper than just wanting money and power. I think, obviously she desires love, and she thinks like a child that she loves Ashley, when in reality Rhett Butler was right in front of her the whole time, loving her, wanting a life with her, and she didn't see it. It took her to basically the very end, which was a beautiful scene when she realizes, um, I need to go home. I need to go home. Tomorrow is another day. I'm tired today, but tomorrow is another day for me to think about it, my problem, and figure out how to get my husband back. And I think, from what I remember from watching the making of the movie, that the author of the story said that if there is a theme to Gone with the Wind, it's the theme of survival, which I can totally agree with. It's probably not love, because Scarlett and Scarlett and Rhett don't exactly have the most loving relationship. It's very toxic. But the whole movie, she's surviving. She's trying to get more money. She's trying to get food. She's trying to survive the war. The slavery movement. The slaves are trying to survive the war. Rhett Butler keeps getting arrested, and he's trying to survive the war. Everyone's trying to survive those damn Yankees. But the movie, I think I'm so grateful that I got to see it on the big screen. I hope it comes out again in the future. I'm sure it will on the big screen, because I will definitely be there. Hopefully it'll be, maybe another 10 or 20 years till they re-release it. But for anyone who is doubting to see it on the big screen sometime, I can't recommend it enough to do it. It was interesting. I thought that everyone in the movie theater was just going to be, older people in their 60s and up. But I was wrong. There were some younger people watching the movie with us. And there was actually this young girl, maybe in her early 20s, a few seats down. And towards the end of the movie, when it was sort of wrapping up, she was just bawling. She was crying. She was so overcome with emotion. Now, Gone with the Wind to me isn't like that sort of movie. I didn't cry at all during Gone with the Wind. But she she was just bawling her eyes out over, it's so beautiful. And I thought it was kind of silly that she was reacting that way, but it was fun. I got to see, because I'm sure back then girls were bawling their eyes out for Rhett Butler and Scarlett too. So that was kind of fun. And it kind of made me think, like, there is hope for youth. There is hope for society, that Hollywood, it's not that the people are too dumb to enjoy these movies or understand these movies. It's that Hollywood is not willing to take the chance to make smart and methodical films like Gone with the Wind, or something like Gladiator, just an epic. And I hope that Hollywood can get their act together again one day. Although I'm not I think it's low chances that Hollywood will ever come back the way it was in 1939, obviously. But to leave things on a higher note, obviously I didn't go into the history of this movie really because, guys, there's whole novels, there's whole, documentaries, there's whole books written about the making of Gone with the Wind. I have several of those books. I didn't even get them out. There's just not enough time to talk about the making of Gone with the Wind in a 25 minute video. I just wanted to give my thoughts and feelings about the movie. If you have a favorite Gone with the Wind memory or actor or anything with Gone with the Wind, please comment below. Let's all, put our love together for this epic Gone with the Wind, and hopefully that the love and support for Gone with the Wind will continue till the end of time. Thank you for watching.